There has been a lot of discourse throughout the Dragon Age community about how BioWare is seemingly spoiling not just a lot of information on the game, but very important information on the game, and how it somewhat makes it feel a bit less impactful. But does it? Is BioWare spoiling stuff about Veilguard negatively affecting the game? I want to use this video to discuss the question and to use it broadly to talk about spoilers in games, which will involve me talking about spoilers, but if you don't want to get spoiled, then let me answer the questions right away. Is Dragon Age Veilguard spoiling too much? Yes, it is. Now, is this out of line with previous marketing campaigns? No, actually. Kind of. What I mean is that BioWare has spoiled a lot with their games. When they first showed it off, they let players fight Flemeth in her dragon form. Just let them do that, and they showed off the Broodmother, but they also showed off the nature of the beast, Redcliffe, Haven, and the Human Noble intro, including the intro cinematic. Now, it's only kind of because it was shown without a lot of context. We don't really understand what is going on beyond, okay, so we will go there and recruit them for the fight against the Darkspawn. But it is still spoiling a bit, especially the Broodmother. But another thing to consider is what the things are being spoiled. As I said, what was shown for Origins is the locations and intros. Locations that have no context and intros that don't spoil the rest of the game. But with Dav, it feels like a pivotal story moment and huge reveals are just being thrown out there haphazardly. What about Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition? Are they any different? Not too different from Dragon Age Origins. Dragon Age Inquisition does reveal more than Dragon Age Origins, but it is very careful not to spoil big moments. There is a rather infamous example where BioWare showed off the Mage quest and had Liliana in it, but they didn't have Liliana look corrupted. She looked healthy. It was a very interesting way to avoid spoilers. A bit of a longer explanation, but I think it is necessary to understand the difference between the marketing campaigns. Dragon Age Veilguard is spoiling a lot of information, and important information at that. But is that bad? Yes and no. Yes, revealing so much information, or rather revealing the certain kinds of information, can negatively affect the game. But also no, because knowing what something isn't a mark against the game's quality. What it does affect is the player. Depending on who the player is, it will negatively affect their enjoyment, or not bother them at all. The game is unchanged if it is spoiled or unspoiled, but how the player feels, now that is what changes. So, why do players who dislike spoilers feel the way they do? If the story is the same regardless, what is the issue? Well, the value is for them in the surprise factor. Playing the game with little information means that when something is revealed to them, it feels good. Spoilers, I guess. I didn't know in Dragon Age Inquisition, Hawk was going to be in it. And when I first saw them, I was pretty excited. It was a great moment that I remember fondly. And while I think that moment was great, because of the writing involved, I do think it being a surprise made it a lot better in my eyes. Even though looking at it with the lens of surprise revealed, it isn't the surprise that made it good. But what about the people who don't feel negatively affected by being spoiled? Why do they feel like that? One of the reasons is that they just don't feel like spoilers negatively affect their enjoyment. Some with this mindset might even think knowing spoilers will allow them to see the game much more clearer. They can see the setup for the reveals and be able to judge how effective they are or how much a game relies on the surprise. Another reason is that some of them just don't care. Not in a bad way, just that they don't really think spoilers are that harmful. I want to be clear that the people who are negatively affected by spoilers and those who aren't are not a monolith. Everyone has their own reasons for feeling a certain way, and I am simply describing what some of those people might feel, and why they say the things they say. But this doesn't change the fact that many people feel that BioWare is spoiling too much, and it is negatively impacting their enjoyment of the game. The game itself isn't made worse, but what they feel is real. They want to go into the game surprised, but also they wanted to have their expectations informed by the game they are playing and not by the marketing. Because when you learn about a reveal, you are building it up in your mind regardless. What if the expectations don't meet reality? And what BioWare is doing is ruining the surprise and setting expectations on the game. Again, those expectations set may follow through or they may not. For those people, they think BioWare should have simply released the original 20-minute video and the gameplay of the classes, and that would have been enough for them. But BioWare kept going and spoiled a lot more. But those are the answers. Yes, Veilguard is spoiling too much. As for it being bad, it depends on the person. Some think it is bad, some think it isn't bad. Now I am going to discuss some spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, please don't continue. The only thing left to discuss is to ask the question, why is BioWare spoiling so much? And I don't know the answer for that. I can speculate on what the answer is. Some say it's BioWare doesn't feel confident in the game, so they want to make the game seem as good as possible, and thus showed all the cool moments can engage some people. But I don't think that is true. It is assuming a lot of negative things about BioWare. Not that it can't be true, but from what the developers have said and from the former executive producer Mark Darrow has said, it seems that the team is very confident about their game. Maybe it's actually that BioWare feels the need to show all of this stuff because newer players might get lost. They don't know anything about the franchise because it has basically been inactive since 2014. So BioWare needs to do this for them so they understand what is happening. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Morgan being shown in the trailer does spoil her reveal for longtime fans, but for new players they see a cool looking witch with cool looking powers. It gets them invested. Same with BioWare revealing the elven gods Gillinan and Elgranon, and the fact that Gillinan has an archdemon. It's a huge reveal for longtime fans, but for newer fans, they have no idea what a Gillinan or what an archdemon is. For them, those are just words. And I feel seeing it through this lens makes a lot more sense. All the reveals, all the spoilers start fitting into place. Now some of the spoilers don't make sense through this lens, like the Companions video. They just gave us a lot of info about the Companions. BioWare isn't reintroducing old lore or characters, they are talking about new characters. And I think even newer fans would find it a bit odd to introduce the new companions like this. Last question. How much information should BioWare give us? Or rather, how much should a game spoil us before it is too much? Is the reveal of the two elven gods too much? Or was that needed? The answer, again, depends on the person. Not a satisfying answer, I know, but it is the only answer I think is true. How much is too much depends on you, so I will give my answer on it. I think BioWare has given us too much. I don't think BioWare needed to share the fact that Gillinan has an archdemon, nor do I think they needed to reveal the two elven gods. I will go even further and say that I don't think they needed to show us the first hour of gameplay at all. I would have much rather that be a surprise. Before my live stream on the Companions trailer, I didn't want to know anything about Veilguard. But since then, my videos on Veilguard have done well enough. The reason why I'm explaining this is that I want you to know that I would have rather known as little as possible, and I would have known as little as possible if I didn't do the Companions trailer. So, for me, what BioWare should have done is simply say, yo, Dragon Age Veilguard is releasing on October the 31st, and leave it at that. Obviously, that isn't great for marketing, nor for players, because players do want to know about the game somewhat. But that is my answer. BioWare has shown us a lot, and they will show even more later on. For people who want to go spoiler-free, I sympathize. It sucks, it really does. And there isn't any real way of avoiding spoilers without just turning off your internet. It feels like BioWare could do more to accommodate those players, but they aren't. It's a complicated issue, and I don't think there is one size fit all. I think for people who feel that BioWare is spoiling too much, they want to, again, as I said many times before, they just want to go in spoiler-free because that's their preference, and that's certainly fine. I'm not necessarily sure how BioWare can accommodate them without necessarily, I think, deriving from their own marketing. So anyways, that was the video. I wanted to talk about Veilguard and the spoilers and whatnot, because I've seen a lot of people just talk about it, and I wanted to weigh in on the discussion and sort of talk about it in a general broad discussion. And well, I want to swing it back to you and simply ask, well, what do you think about this? Is Veilguard spoiling too much? Is it okay that it's spoiling too much? And if it isn't spoiling too much, should it spoil more? What is your opinions on it? And additionally, how much should BioWare spoil us? How much should we know about the game's story that is enough? I think people will be fine with being spoiled by gameplay mechanics, because I do think broadly most of BioWare's audiences don't particularly care about gameplay as much as story, and gameplay is a much more acceptable thing to spoil because that is how you're going to play the game. So please, do tell me. And if you like the video, perhaps consider liking the video, and if you consider commenting your thoughts on this whole video topic, and maybe even subscribing. That'd be cool. Ja, thank you for watching the video, and I hope you enjoy your day.